Hello y bienvenidos to this episode of UNF Community Counsel, where we take your questions and answer them in a short video. This question comes from Isid Ismail, and they say, anyone know how to stop two widgets overlapping? Following this tutorial, and if I cross the finish line after timing out, I still get the winning widget. So they have two overlapping widgets, and he says like that's the problem, but I answer that actually the main problem is that you are dealing with two states that should not overlap. Like you cannot win and lose at the same time. At least in this game you can't. And this is the tutorial is the racing game tutorials that we did. So I knew that I wasn't doing something like this, or this wasn't the intent of the tutorial. So I told him to add some validations so the widget won't pop up, but they didn't have a good idea on how to do it. So the way they solved it is just putting a black screen under the text. So even if the widgets are overlapping, you won't be able to see it. So this is what we call a patch. A patch is a way that you can just hide the error. And this is very useful to know how to patch stuff, because you don't always have the means to fix the error, because maybe you're working with another project that you didn't create and you're not really sure of the changes that you could make to base classes, and that could get really messy real fast. So patching stuff is a great skill to have, like this one. But in this case, when it's dealing with the actual game state, like, oh, you won or you lose, you really don't want to have this type of patch. Because if later on we want to know if we lost or if we won, we really don't have any idea, because both of these widgets triggered and appeared. So we're gonna fix that in this video. First, the way you can replicate this, and I have replicated it, is by driving around, and let's say that 2 seconds is the time left, because whenever you press play, you will get the time remaining, and whenever you cross a checkpoint, you will get more time, right? That's the basic game that we created in that tutorial. So the way this bug happens is that whenever we are close to the finish line and we're still moving, then we can trigger this lose state and then a win state. And I will try to replicate it. If I can't, then I already did it, so I know how to. So okay, it's a little bit of an edge case because I need to keep moving. So I'm losing, but my car is still moving, and it seems that it stopped completely. Right. So that's why it's hard to replicate. Okay, let's try to replicate it. Come on. Okay, there it is. So you have these two conditions, that whenever you cross the finish line, but the time was already 0, then first you need to lose and then you're going to win, right? And that shouldn't happen. So the way we're gonna fix it has to do on introducing or saving the actual game state of our game, which by game state, I'm not referring to the class game state, but I'm referring to if the state is you have won the game or if you have lost the game. Which, if I remember correctly in this tutorial, if we were following the correct practices, let's open the game mode, which we can access very quickly in this blueprints button. Game mode, edit racing game, and let's find where is the widgets, where are they created. So here we are losing because we are out of time, and here we are winning because we have crossed the finish line. So this creates the widget where we lost, and this one creates the widget where we win. What we need to save is if we have won or if we have lost. So it will be a good idea to save that into a variable. Okay, so if I had a boolean, which is just, okay, did we win? Then I can easily know if we have won, right? Because, oh, it's false, I have not won yet. If it's true, then, okay, I won. But I don't know if I lost. If this is false, it really wouldn't mean that we lost. It probably means that we're still playing. So we could create another variable that says, oh, did we lost? So whenever you're in that case, where you have conditions that cannot be overlapped, because in this case, we cannot win and lose at the same time, it's a good idea to use an enumerator. So let's create one. And I don't know where I was creating everything, but let's put it in my framework. Yeah, besides the game mode is fine. Right click. Let's go to blueprints, enumeration. Let's call it E for enumeration and game state. So the game state, we're going to create the number of states we can be in, right? When you're dealing with enumerators, it's a good idea, a good practice for the first one to be a non-value. And it's a good idea because if you're not setting up this enumeration, then you will know immediately, oh, it's not working because it's a non-value, then somewhere in my code I have not set it up correctly. Okay? And this will make sense a lot in a minute. So what's an enumerator? If you don't know what it is, then it's a way of defining states. So inside an enumeration, you can only have one state active. So if I'm thinking about my game states, then I would probably want to know if one is if we're playing, if the game is in progress. I will want to know if we won, a win state, or a lose state. And this is in my case. A game could have a lot of states, and that's the beauty of it. We can create how many states as we liked, just so it matches our game. I mean, the only limitation is like you can, with an enumeration, there's only like 256 spaces, but you probably don't really need that many. It's really, really weird for an enumeration to be like more than 20 or 30. Okay, so we have given a name to these states, but behind the scenes, this is actually like having an array, and this is the element 0, element 1, element 2, and element 3. But we are, instead of just saving this as an integer and calling it game state int, and in some place saying, okay, just remember that if this is 0, it's a non-value. If this is 1, the game is in progress. If this is 2, we won, and if this is 3, we lost. I mean, you can also do it like this, but it's a lot clearer if you have text that goes with it. So this enumeration really works wonders. Now let's save it. And just so it's not like that generic, I'm gonna change the name to racing game state. Because maybe later on you can add a way of picking your car that you want to use. That's fine. You could create a state where you're choosing the cars. Okay, so let's change this variable to the enumeration that we just created. So it's E racing game state enum enumeration, and let's select it. Let's compile and let's go to the default value here. So by default, you will probably see it as none. It was in loose because this variable was, remember, had a 3 in this box, so 3 is loose. But now we can really define, oh, what's the actual state of my game? By default, I'll leave it at none, because if you noticed, whenever we press play, we are here not really playing. We have a time remaining that it's not moving, our car is not moving, but we're actually not playing until we cross this start line. Now we're playing. And you can see the message that says the game has started. So I need to make this game state, let's call it racing game state. I need to update the value of this game state, so it's matching my actual game. So let's search. Here we have a pre-race. In pre-race, this is fine if we are in none value. Oh, let's compile again. In none value. But when we start the game, and let's search when we are, here it is, game start, game has started. We do need to add, well, not add, but change the value of my racing game state. So I'm just going to drag and drop it, set it, and I'm going to connect it here. I'll connect it here. And now what value do I want to add? Change, excuse me, is this one, in progress, because the game has started and now we have the actual state where we are saving the game, my racing game state, in this enumeration. So here we are just changing the value of my variable. Now, why do we need this type of value? Because where is my, okay, so here we are losing out of time, but I don't really need to do all this stuff if my game is not in progress. If I already won, then I should not be able to run this part of the code because the game already ended. So let me move everything here to the side and let me dock this to the sidebar so we have a little bit more space. And I'll dock this one to the side. Perfect. And I don't really need this right now. Can I dock it? Okay, no. I don't know what to dock that here. This is fine. So here I need to add this validation that I was talking about. And where is my pure ref? Here it is. Here I was telling you can add extra validation to wherever you are making the widget show up. You could have a boolean, but upon closer inspection, an enumerator is a lot better. So here I will add a branch. And for this to work, I want to know if the game is in progress. If my game is not in progress, and let's click here, let's get the racing game state. Let's get it. So if it's not in progress, I don't want anything to work here. But if it is in progress, then for sure, let's lose the game. So if it's equals, and remember when you're working with an enumeration, use this node, equal enum. Let's connect it. And let's change this value to in progress. So this will only work if this variable is actually in progress. And here we're defining that our game, whenever the game starts, the game becomes an in progress type of state. Now we need to do the same thing with the win condition. So win cross the finish line. We can add it here, or whenever we won, which, yeah, let's just add it here. It's fine. It's actually fine. Some people, or well, some developers don't like to trigger this event unless you're able to make everything else work, right? In our case, it's fine. It really won't mess anything. It's just a matter of preference. So I'll just copy and paste this. And I'll connect the new conditions. So here, win, cross the finish line. If it's in progress, for sure, we can do it. If it isn't, then we can't win because it has already changed to another state, which we should actually do right now. So, okay, this works when everything is in progress, but we are still haven't defined when does this racing game state changes to a win or a lose type of value. So if we see here correctly, we have this game finish. Let's double click it. And here we know if we won or if we lost, right? So let's just get the racing game state again. Let's set the value. Let's connect it here. And now, if this is true, then I won. And if it's false, then I lose. You could use branches, but whenever you're dealing with enumeration, it's a lot easier to just drag from here, type select, and you will get this node. This node will take options. We can create more options, and it takes an index. So right now it's a wildcard, and because it's a wildcard, we can connect a boolean, a byte, integer 64, or another enumeration. In my case, I want a boolean, and I can just connect the win to the index. And now this changes, these options, now I have a false option and a true option. So if win is true, then I want this racing game state. And let me create some space just so we don't have everything floating around. Perfect. So again, if we have a win true type of value, this boolean is true, then I want this racing game state to be win. If it's false, then I want it to be lose. And this game finish is actually triggering whenever we cross the finish line. So that way, we know that the game should either lose or win in our case. And that's how you can manage the game state in any type of game, right? You just create an enumeration and define the different stages or different states that your game can have and keep track of it with a variable inside. Usually it's the game mode. Maybe if you're in a multiplayer game, it could be the game state, but it will usually be the game. So I hope that solves that question. With this, whenever we cross or whenever we run out of time, this will become a lose type of game. And then if we try to win by crossing the finish line, it won't matter because we're only running this part of the code whenever we are in a state called in progress. So yeah, hopefully this was useful to you, and make sure that you leave any type of questions about our tutorials in our Discord server, because we usually just answer them there, and many people here in YouTube don't know about it. But we're trying to maybe make more of this type of videos where we are just answering not only questions about our tutorials, but also any type of questions. So yeah, hopefully that helps, and I'll see you in the next video.